Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabans. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment. And we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. Today, we're going to be talking about that damn Nick Wright. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And also, be sure to hit all notifications for this channel, so whenever we drop our content, you get it immediately when it comes out. Let me get into this topic. Here. I don't want to believe that there are people out there that really listen to the takes that Nick Wright gives about this whole Jordan GOAT debate and sit back and say to themselves, man, Nick is making some very good points. I don't want to believe that. I don't see the 90% of the points that Nick Wright makes when it comes to this Michael Jordan conversation is a joke. A good 90% of them. The issue with this conversation is the following. Because it's not close, whenever we have this debate, we reach for all of these what ifs and if this happened and if that. You always have to use these ridiculous arguments to try to make this thing a case. And that is exactly what Nick Wright did. What am I referring to? Yesterday, he published a show on his channel. And I think it was Shannon Sharpe that went on ESPN First Take and put up this picture of Michael Jordan when he was not a Chicago Bull, when he was a Washington Wizard. And I think they stopped the game to give him the 30,000 points scored or whatever it is mark. And they stopped the game to congratulate him. Shannon brought up that point. JJ Redick and Stephen A. Smith were like, bro, who cares? Like, what kind of point is this? Nick Wright got a hold of that point, and he thought that, oh man, you see, now I got some. That's what these guys are horrendous debaters. Do you know why? Because 100% of the arguments that they make is not rooted in logic. It is rooted in nothing but pure emotion. Because anybody with a logical molecule in their body will listen to what these guys say and say that these guys have absolutely zero ability to reason properly. These guys cannot reason properly. I am 100% convinced of this. When you listen to the arguments that they put forward every single day. Nick Wright is having this conversation. He brings up the Jordan picture. Oh, you see, it was a big deal for Jordan, but when LeBron does it, it's not a big deal. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, were they not considering Michael Jordan the greatest player of all time before he got back to the Wizards? So why are you bringing up this idiotic ass point, Nick Wright? As a matter of fact, for those of you who didn't even hear what Nick said, I want you guys to sit down and listen to the sheer lunacy that came out of this man's mouth yesterday. Take a listen to some of this nonsense that Nick Wright had to say. Take a listen to that.
Michael Jordan got it was flying around Twitter yesterday, a trophy this big, about the size of the Larry O'Brien trophy, for getting to 30,000 points. When he got there, Karl Malone was already there, Wilt was already there, Kareem was already there. A stop the game, take the trophy moment for 30,000. LeBron gets to 40. And people are like, oh, or you're not seriously going to make this part of the GOAT debate, are you? Well, it's part of it. But so Brew on the show yesterday said, listen, we don't do GOATs by longevity. We do GOATs by peak. And I actually disagree. I think it is a tapestry. I think it is all of the above to a degree. I think that a lot of people would argue Randy Moss had a higher peak than Jerry Rice. But it was close, their two peaks, and Rice's longevity is so demonstrably better, he's universally regarded as the GOAT wide receiver. So I think it's all of the above is how we do it. But when we say, okay, let's talk peaks, and this is where the Jordan folks, in my opinion, are dishonest. What is peak? Are we talking one season? Because there is no single season Michael Jordan ever had better than LeBron James's 2013 season. It doesn't exist. In 2013 for LeBron James, he was the league MVP. He was the finals MVP. He had a damn near perfect game 6 of the finals down 3-2, and then a perfect game 7 of the finals, 37-12, and the game-winning jump shot over Kawhi Leonard. And, oh yeah, by the way, during that year, they had a 27-game winning streak, and he was 3 votes away from winning Defensive Player of the Year. Find the Jordan season that matches that. You can't. People are like, oh, but Michael Jordan won MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same year. He did. In a year, he did not even make it to the finals, let alone win the championship. So when are we talking Jordan's peak? Are we talking 1 year? Then LeBron's peak was higher. Are we talking 2 years? Well, then it's going to be an argument, because LeBron James in 12 and 13, when 1 year he damn near shot 60% from the field, won back-to-back league MVPs, back-to-back finals MVPs, beat 2 all-time teams in those NBA finals with 7 Hall of Famers on those teams between them. I don't know, seems pretty good. Now, does that match up to Jordan's 2-year peak? They're at least equivalent. Jordan 92-93 with a couple league. Well, actually, that was only 1 league MVP. Now I think of it. Because Barkley won it in 93. Jordan probably should have 2 finals MVPs. They're at least close. 3-year peak, that goes to Jordan. LeBron never won 3 MVPs in a row. Jordan did neither. But LeBron never won 3 titles in a row. Jordan did. 4-year peak? Now it tilts back to LeBron James. Well, wait, what do you mean, Nick? Well, 4 years. What 4 years are we talking about? Nick, you mean you're holding against Michael Jordan when he didn't play? Yes. I'm not holding against it. But it is, and this is where I say people are dishonest. People will then say that you are being dishonest if you count years in the order in which they happened on the calendar. They're like, oh, that is crazy. You're going to count 1994? It's like, well, it wasn't mythical. It existed.
Did you guys hear the amount of rubbish that just came out of Nick Wright's mouth? Did you just hear the amount of absolute rubbish that came out of Nick Wright's mouth? All of what Nick Wright just said was absolutely irrelevant. He makes terrible arguments. Terrible. And it was full of lies. Almost all of what he said, he was lying. Almost all of it. And we produced a show about it today that you're probably going to check out. All of it he produced. He said a bunch of lies up there. Because Nick Wright, I don't know, maybe because he has a big beard and he wears suits on TV. For whatever reason, people take him seriously. Maybe that's what I got to do. Maybe I got to grow a bigger beard and start putting on suits. And maybe people start taking me seriously. Nothing of what Nick Wright says with this Jordan debate is serious. You cannot take Nick Wright seriously. That's the reason why whenever him and Chris Broussard have these debates, Chris usually wipes the floor with him. It's easy work. Nick Wright said it's close. It's not close. His whole argument is based on what ifs. Nick, if they ask him who's better between, he can't say, if I ask him, okay, if you ask Nick Wright who's better between LeBron and Kevin Durant, he can tell you plainly. But if you ask him who's better between LeBron and Jordan, he has to take us through this long process. Take us over there, take us over there. He had, in that year, he was 3 votes away from defensive. He didn't win. Why are you bringing that up? Why would you bring that up as a point? He said it like as if, you see, he almost did it, but he didn't. But he says it like it's a credit. Like it's a credit. That's how he presents. This guy is, when it comes to coming up with arguments and sound points, Nick Wright is absolutely lousy at it. And I know why he comes up with these bad arguments, because he is forced to. Nick Wright is represented by Clutch Sports. He is. So he has to come out there and basically keep promoting this nonsense and propagating it out here and basically polluting the airways with this nonsense. It makes no sense what he said. Absolutely nothing from beginning to end. None of what Nick Wright just said made absolutely no sense. And all of it was full of lies that we're going to expose today. So what I want to know from you guys, what do you think about this nonsense that Nick Wright just spewed all over the table talking about, oh, if he scored 30. It's like, Nick, we already said Jordan was a GOAT before then. So why are you bringing up this point? Why are you bringing it up? He's like, it's a big deal. No one really cared. Do you know why no one really cares about when Jordan scored 30? Because nobody talks about it. This thing about who scored the most points only became something big because your guy did it. So now all of a sudden you want it to mean something. It never mattered for anybody else. So why should it matter now? Why should it matter now? This is Nick Wright for you guys, man. Just a total time waster who comes up with some of the most ridiculous arguments in basketball when we're talking about this stuff. These are my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you guys on the next show. Peace.